hiding in the bushes. I was like, oh, here we are.
Good, and you? Good.
We're ready.
Okay, let's call the meeting to order. This is a special meeting to do with the town budget. Let's do the roll call.
Commissioner Bessler,
Here.
Commissioner DeHassis,
Present.
Commissioner Herbert,
Here.
Vice Mayor Magruder,
Here.
Mayor Cos.
Here. Stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance We got any public comment before we start? Great, that's a first. Action items, okay. How do you want to handle the budget? Do you want to go through page by page?
Yeah, let's just do it page by
Page
page.
by page?
Yeah.
It seemed to work
Quick.
the last
Okay.
Yes, we went quickly.
All right. Okay, first, Tracy, on action items 1, I think we can kind of do that all together as we go through,
Yeah, definitely.
right? We don't have to break it out. Okay. All right, so I'm turning to item number 1, which tells us about the changes in the packages. If anybody's got any comments as I turn through, perhaps they could mention it. Does everyone have the sheet of questions, or do I just have that, Tracy?
Everyone does.
Okay, good, okay. We should be aware that the total revenues for the town have increased $315,000 just through property taxes. There's been a $59 million increase in the property values in Ocean Ridge. So I think all the commissioners and the public should keep that in mind as we do the budget, because when we're over budget, we already have an additional $315,000 that is coming to us through property taxes. And then if any more money we spend on top of that would exceed that amount. Did anybody have any questions on the questions I had?
On the Q&A on
Which-
question 7, you had done a comparison, F1920 personnel costs. How many new hires does that include, if any?
We, from FY19 to FY20?
Yes.
Okay, you have a new hire for your Public Works Department,
Okay,
and that was the only one.
that was the only one.
Mhm.
So the rest of it is more incremental from the increase in taxes and insurance and?
Correct.
Exactly, so you can subtract the 154 from.
Okay.
And Tracy, there was something, I think we shall, we had it that we were $474,000 over budget, but it's actually 460.
Yes, we received the new valuations, the certified values, and that will garner an extra 19 and change in revenue. So your new amount needed from your reserves will be 460,845.
Under the current first round approvals.
Mm-hmm.
And we reduce that by 315?
No,
No.
315 is included.
Right.
So if we hadn't gotten the increase in our property values, that number would be
470.
something.
Which
Yeah.
is why
Okay.
I'm bringing this to everyone's attention, so that's like we're raising the budget by almost $1 million. Okay, just so everyone starts at that starting.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, you have the answer to the body cams? I'm flipping to 10Q on my questions. These are important questions.
I have one, you're 10, I have one at 2A, the public services contract.
Sure.
Increasing the rate to the homeowners and the condos, it just doesn't seem, it's okay with me to increase it, but it doesn't seem to be worth the effort. I mean, there's, what, $17 or something?
Yeah,
like
well,
that?
I had a comment on that when we get to the revenue.
Okay.
We haven't raised it in 2015, and that's as far as I went back, so it's never been raised.
Okay.
So it's gone up over 12.75%. So what I was gonna recommend is we should raise it
Even.
12.75 to get at least back to, you know,
Okay.
current costs.
So you'll hold on to that thought when we get to
Okay,
that?
cool.
Yep.
Okay,
I have the numbers available.
good.
Okay.
Okay, 10Q, we have the answers to. Christine, to your question about the increase, 12A answers part of that, where it says a total increase of $154,000 this year. That's the
Okay.
benefits, right? Okay, and Tracy, I asked you this question previously. 15A, the town reserves, I could have sworn that gentleman said 63% in his folder, and we have it.
Let me give you the actual, hold on one second. 67.8
67.8, okay, so that's another very important number to us,
is your fund balance percentage.
reserve.
Yeah, fund balance is
Right.
your reserves,
Okay,
yeah.
so everyone understands we can run the town for 67% of a year.
Yeah.
So, and the gentleman said, anything below 45 is reasonable, once you get into the 20s, it's a bad
Did you
situation.
say below? You mean above, right?
No, he said 45 was okay.
No, I thought you said 45% or below.
Right, hovering, we'd like to hover around
Or
45.
above.
In
Well,
other
you mean
words,
above,
my point
45%
is
above,
that over the
yeah.
last 3 to 5 years, we have increased our reserves dramatically.
Yes,
Right,
you have.
we're looking good.
We're looking good. that's
And
it.
I will also add to the caveat, though, whether that number is 2% or 200%, if it doesn't cover us in a catastrophic storm, it really doesn't make any difference. So I would like to dig just a little bit deeper on what have we spent in the past years for these minor storms that we've had, and see, have we spent 50,000, have we spent 200,000? How much of that do we get back from FEMA? How long does it take to get back from FEMA? Because percentages, statisticians, lawyers, and percentages is how it goes. so.
Typically, we spend 100,000 or a little less for a small storm. That's what we spent on the last one for Irma. It takes about 2 years to get it back, and we get about 90% back. Some categories are at 75, some are at 90, so it depends on what categories you're spending in.
So we'd have to spend over $4 million. to wipe it out.
No, oh, God.
Well, if you had a
I don't know.
catastrophic,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, but I mean, does $4 million get us a new town, get us a new hall? Does it get us our police vehicles replaced? What does I guess I'm asking is, what does $4 million really get us?
Right, and it's gonna cover your salaries for your employees in the long run. It's gonna cover probably some trailers in here for temporary housing for your employees and possible vehicles, whatever was damaged, so you can keep running. Computer equipment.
So, well, one other point, which the math will change now, because I did this with Tracy and with the chief. 1% of reserve was $48,000, but now we're at 67. So I think that would take it down to each percent of reserve is worth $47,000, so it would go to 49. Is anybody here a mathematician? Oh, you can't hear me? I'm sorry.
Can I just clarify something on the disaster recovery? We've had this discussion because of what we put into our disaster contingency account, and it's always been agreed that we could keep a sufficiently low number in that budgeted account, because when you're talking about immediately replacement of town hall, police vehicles, and the such, there are provisions currently by FEMA to help us immediately with that within a couple months that we've never had to rely on. It's different than getting reimbursement for personnel costs and things like that. And in looking at rebuilding the whole town, we have insurance monies that would chip in for that,
For some, yeah.
in addition to what our reserves. So our reserves should carry us through until those monies come forward and then be replenished. So it's not like we would need to take all of it out immediately to rebuild the town hall and to run government. That reserve would be used to run the government until such time
Temporary.
as we can get those things in place.
Okay.
So it appears to me, each percentage of reserve that, if we end up taking reserve, is worth roughly $50,000.
48.1 or 43.5 to spend, depending on whether or not you choose to spend the reserves on the much-needed capital expenditures.
48, we can go with 48,000.
48.4, yeah.
Okay. Thanks. Okay, I'm turning to proposed budget fiscal year 2020, which is just a cover page. Tracy, is there anything we need on this particular page, the text?
No,
Well, do you want to bring the recycling revenue up in that area or no?
I don't think he's at that page yet.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So I'm now turning to where, page 2 of the text, FY '20 budget message and highlight summary. Page 2 is where it says 479, that should actually be 460. See where it says 479? Okay.
I think you can skip right to the data pages.
Okay.
It's our
I'm
second-
going by this.
That's me.
Well, we're still,
We're not even there.
we're not even there.
By data pages,
You're ahead.
you're on general funds 001 revenues, statement of revenues? Okay. I'm on page, they're not numbered, the first page, statement of revenues. Okay, any questions? Bryony Breeze contract we'll know in July.
You'll know in August,
Right.
they decided to do, they want presentations from each group that bid. So it's gonna be August 1st when they have those presentations, and they may or may not at that point award a contract.
There-
That
Right.
kind of puts us in a bind, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, it does.
So, because we were proceeding as if we had that money, when do they have to decide? You
They
know
were
the answer?
supposed to decide before, they were supposed to give 90 days notice, but they reduced that to 60 day, and they're just gonna be cutting it close if they do that August 1st.
Their commission asked to be able to ask questions of both presenters, Boynton and Ocean Ridge. They set the date for August 1st, which took the July 25th deadline off the table. They are, as Tracy says, hoping for a third Thursday in July decision. However, it may be as late as September, depending on their commission.
But typically, their meetings are the 4th,
Is that the 4th? I'm sorry.
yeah, so it's the 22nd. And I have a feeling that they'll make the decision by then.
Yeah, they said they could make a decision even that evening.
It will be on their
After-
agenda.
After the interview.
Correct.
They have the opportunity to, however, their town manager has sent us notification that they may not. He can't be sure.
Right.
Okay, then.
And do we have any influence on asking them to make a decision quickly?
We missed that. We forfeited that.
I believe that we agreed to allow them to make their decision with all of the information available and tried not to rush them so that they
Right.
made the best decision.
All right, so what do you guys want to do? You want to proceed as if we have that money and then panic in August?
Nope. I think it
Well,
needs
I-
to
Well,
come
it's-
out.
Well, no, because we can always pull it from reserve. See what I
Oh,
mean?
my God, no. Stop bending the reserve over. No, I just don't think it's fiscally responsible to have it in there, so.
I agree with you, but
So we'll have a windfall and
well,
be good.
that means we're now going to take another $180,000 out of a budget that we already need to take out $464,000.
Yes. Hopefully, we'll have that.
I'm for
we'll have
that, because I wanted to
information.
get rid of the 480,000 anyway tonight, so
All right.
I'm fine with it.
Okay, so we're not going to include that money.
Is that baked into these numbers here?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Where?
Yeah, it's in
In our
the whole
revenue.
budget.
Under revenue? I'm looking at revenue.
So if they make their decision on August 1st and we get the contract, then we'll keep it in for the August 4th budget workshop. If not, we'll take it out.
Right, and then we
Alright.
can bring some of
Yeah.
the things we cut out back in,
Yeah.
right? And
Exactly.
Vote on that.
That's a lot of cutting, guys.
So this, is it under the intergovernmental revenue? Is that what I'm looking at, under the revenue? Where is the 180?
Charges for services, 340, 342, 100.
The 576, 600.
Okay, thank you. I'm just looking at the summary.
Now, I don't know if you want to deal with the recycling then, because that's in that same category. I mean,
Sure.
it's not much money. I think I came up with you came up with 18,000, right? And I think I came up with another 36, so I think the total's another
But we wanna do it now?
53,000. Well, I guess if we're on that
Might as
line,
well.
or,
Yeah.
yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, Tracy, did you have that? Because, well, just make sure my numbers equal yours, but I come up with 51,308 if we increase it by 12.7% instead of 3.79%.
In addition,
Well, no, the 53 is not, 51's the number. If you only did it by the 3.79, you'd only get like 15,600.
If you go up to $260 for single family and $182 for multifamily, based on the number of units we have in each, the total revenue would be $337,454.
And what is
Yep.
it for the unit, condos, Tracy, again?
Multifamily is 182,
but
based
That's the
on
in-
Phil's percentages.
we need the increase, not the, it's
That's
not
the increase.
a $300,000 increase? No way.
No,
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 that's
no,
a
no, no.
total. That's a total.
That's total, right.
But that comes off, that's different than my numbers. You're only coming up, you said 337?
454.
And it's already 317, right? So that's
Yeah.
only another 20,000.
Yeah, that's based on the number of single-family units and multifamily units that we have.
At a 12.7% increase?
Right.
Versus 3.79.
Instead of just a straight percentage, if you
Of what they were-
actually.
Ah,
No,
that's right.
Yeah.
something's wrong though, because if you're at, I'm saying to raise it 12%, you say to raise it 4%, I should come up with 3 times as much as your number.
No, right, if you're talking about the, if you're going up 12, I think it was 12.46% from 2015 to 2020,
Right.
then,
So I have a
Your-
multiplier of 3, right? There's your 12.5, 3.8, 3.2. 3 times.
this is based on the number of units we have.
Oh, yeah, but you didn't put the administrative fee in there, did you?
No,
Okay. So there's
that's
a,
based on, yeah, it's
okay,
it's
so
baked
then
into
we're gonna
that.
add another
It's baked in.
administrative fee, right? Because
Well,
we
it's,
did.
it's baked into the rate.
Oh, you're saying it's baked into the rate?
Uh-huh.
All right.
So what's the increase? Cash.
Did you wanna go higher?
Well, not that I want to go higher, I gotta figure out what I did wrong, so,
Okay.
but you wanna
You're
sidetrack and
talking
I
about
can,
going from the suggested 379, which basically we take on the raise we're getting. You're talking about, we haven't made a raise in ages and
Correct.
trying to come up to spec. So what's that going to do, say the 12, what have you?
12.5, but
per-
whatever
per
reason, I
household.
came up with 51,000, because what I did was, I took the, I guess the 3, what was it? The
Yeah, it was 3 something.
In your book, it's a 3 point.
304, because in
Right.
2015, we had 304. And then,
Right, this is 302.
No,
Tracy
going to
came
20
up with 317, which would have been an increase of about
4%.
4%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So then I said multiply by 12. No, maybe I did do it wrong.
By
Maybe that
3.
is
I think
36,000.
what she did it is by the number of units,
I did.
and you just did it in total.
Across the range.
No, I
12%.
realize that, but I should came with the same number. Maybe I'm
What
using my
kind
phone.
of raise does that mean per household? Remember how you broke this down, 3.79?
Right.
The raise would be minimal. What does the 12% raise, which is now what's on the table?
Be $29.
Right, so it would go from
Okay.
$231 per year to $260 per
Okay,
year for
okay.
single family and then
240 was the
multifamily.
3.79,
Yeah.
so 260 would be the 12%. Okay,
Yes,
that's-
correct.
Okay, that's the number I want to know.
Correct.
So the
Okay.
bottom line is an increased revenue is 20,000. That's what we care about, right?
Yes,
Okay.
20,000, additional to what's in the budget already.
Okay, correct, we have $20,000 more dollars.
Okay, so do we have to do anything
I
to build
think we
that in?
just should track the monies we add and the monies we
two.
subtract.
Okay, two sides of the sheet.
Because we lost 180 and we just added 20.
Now we're at 160. Who's keeping that sheet? Phil?
Well, let's everybody keep it. As you can see, my math's off a little bit today.
You don't want to
Okay,
know mine.
so I'm on the final page of General Fund 001 revenues. It's the little half page. Yeah, that one.
Okay.
Okay, I'm turning to, I can't read it, rates, mill rates.
Mill rate?
So, do we have any questions here? Because I would think this would kind of come in at the end versus now.
That's what I think.
It will, I mean, I think to your calculation of reserves, you also need to keep in mind that every 1/10% of the mill rate increase is basically an additional $100,000 of revenue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's check the math there real quick. I'm sure you're right, but 204, yep, okay. Slightly more, okay. All right, so we'll hold off on that. I flipped the page to departmental budgeted narrative. Proposed budget shows a percentage increase of 32% due to the reformulation of general liability and workman's comp costs across town departments, and an increase in travel and per diem line due to more town commissioners wishing to attend conferences and education training opportunities.
There are no changes to this department between May 30th and July 1st.
Very good. And does, Tracy, your summary of budget cuts, is that just something that you did for me? Because I asked, so
Yes.
I get these, if people have some questions, there's specific things here.
I can hand that out to everyone.
Okay, I flipped to town manager, proposed budget for FY '20. Now, what I would like to do, and this is gonna require a consensus, I talked to the attorney about this, and if people don't want to do this now, please speak, okay? You'll notice that in the coming meetings, we're going to be discussing the town manager and the town clerk, who have been basically in acting positions, right? So what I would like to do at this meeting is to get a consensus if people feel that they have, let's call it a tryout, have done well enough in the tryout to now be appointed, if that's probably too strong a word, appointed in the budget to their current positions. Do we have agreement? In other words, we're not, locking into any 25-year contract or anything like that. What I'm simply saying is I think Tracy has done a marvelous job, has gone above and beyond what I expected, totally. She is a rookie, as she'll tell you. And Carla gets very good reviews from Tracy, and as we know, Carla is a newbie as well. They both stepped up, and we also have brought in Wayne to help with the building official part of this. So if there's consensus that we're thinking of putting them on in full-time positions across the board, that immediately impacts this budget page. Is there consensus?
I agree.
I do.
Okay?
I'm very glad we're not paying Tracy by the hour.
So we're gonna give you guys premature congratulations because we have to officially do it. Now, this impacts the budget
Okay.
because what Tracy's done here, the numbers she's plugged in are for if we had to go outside and hire a town manager with experience. So we can tentatively set Tracy's salary now and save money, and we can tentatively set Carla's salary now and save money. So Tracy was making 75. What I suggest is bumping her to 100. She's new. She's been a town manager for 2 months. Jamie was a, 25-year experienced town manager. And that saves us $25,000 right there. And Carla, I believe, was making 40 or 45?
Now I'm making 45.
Right, and I was suggesting to bump her to 60, not that they're doing a poor job and don't deserve the money down the road, but they're brand new at these jobs. So that would be a savings of $35,000. $40,000.
Both of them, yeah.
Yeah.
And when did you, this would become effective on October 1st then? These
Yeah,
salaries?
because right now they're getting paid, remember we gave them
Yeah.
extra money to cover the time?
Right.
Yeah,
And you were gonna take Carl to what,
60,
60?
yeah.
I hear what you're saying about the newness of the position. I think it is less about how many years you got under your belt and whether or not you're actually doing the job really well. And so I don't want to thwart the salary increase based on the number of days that they've been doing it. So it's kind of I think, a compromise position as to where you are. Do we need to set that hard number tonight, do you think?
Well, it helps in the budget, and then if you want to finalize it later, that's a different procedure. All I'm trying to do is save money in the budget. And I think these are very fair for people that
Well-
have days on the job, not years.
And again, they could be doing a horrible job for 30 years, and we had some of that, or they could be a really, really good for, for 2 months. So where is that within this book, the salary ranges?
Under
that you-
personnel, under the personnel tab, it's toward the back.
Oh, I see. In front of contingency.
Oh, one of those most legible ones.
I know, right, the tiny ones. All right.
Your next highest paid employee is the chief of police, and he will be making $109,000 in 2020.
You're looking for comparatives to
No,
other
I'm-
towns or here?
I think that's what this is this workshop, is this spreadsheet the comparative one, the highs and the lows?
No, I
Oh,
think
you're
she's
talking about
looking for-
salary surveys?
Yes.
Keep going, yep. Keep turning your pages.
Okay.
You have, a page for salary survey for admin employees.
So for instance, on this page, am I overlooking it? I'm looking for.
Next page is the one that's comparative.
No, I'm looking for the ranges for,
This is created by the town of Ocean Ridge, this document you're looking at.
but it was based on something, right?
Yeah, if you look at are you talking about town manager position right now?
I'm looking at both.
If you look at the Pepe survey, which is, it's more towns than just Palm Beach County, it's all of Florida. The average salary for a town manager is $146,000. That's your minimum, and then your maximums go up to 200 and something thousand.
And do you have that same fact for the clerk?
Yes.
Yeah, up to.
Your clerk minimum average is 75, and the max is 114. That's
I'm in
Palm
the
Beach
wrong
County.
business.
Any other thoughts?
Trying to make my comparatives here. It's hard because it's not apples to apples, right? Different towns and things
Yeah,
are broken
definitely.
into, right?
Definitely, you have different sizes.
Right.
You have, of course, in this town, your town manager also serves as your finance director. In other towns, they do the same, or they only serve as town manager. It just
Right.
depends. There are different dynamics in
Exactly.
each town.
I think Gulfstream split theirs 2 years ago.
That's what else was.
I think there's two things that come into play, and again, I'm not saying anything negative about either Carla or Tracy. I think the newness to the position with no experience comes into play, and the fact that we have a building official who is becoming more involved in the town comes into it as well. I have no problem, like next budget, if everything's going well, we go, wow, this deserves extraordinary merit.
We brought in Jamie at 102,
Yep.
but didn't we bring
I
him
think it
in
was 92.
1025,
1025.
1025.
102.5 when he came in? And although he had a lot of administrative experience, I think we found out pretty quickly he had no or very little budgeting experience, if I remember correctly, the first round of budgets with Jamie.
Mhm.
I think in Tracy's case, we we see that she's got a tremendous amount of budgeting experience as far as putting this budget together. And maybe what you're talking about is the administrative part of it is still fairly new. But she did have administrative experience up in Maine, I believe, where she
Yeah.
came from. I guess my thing would be to bring her in at 102. It's only
That's
$2,000
fine
difference.
by me. Fine by me. Everybody okay with that?
I'd like to suggest a 6-month review rather than an annual review.
When's
Because
your
it's-
anniversary? Does it go out the window?
January.
January. How's that?
Yeah, that was my second thought, is take a look at it again, and you were doing a 90-day evaluation, kind of premature right now, and then look at it again at 180 days.
January.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, when we come back in August, if we have some money,
Yeah.
not quite as, but starting higher.
Starting at the 102, or,
What do you think, Phil?
It's
You're
fine
my-
with me.
You're our money guy.
Well, I know, but, we
I know.
got two things going on. We got a
Exactly.
2-month review instead of waiting longer, but, you want to start giving her some money and get this thing moving, so I'm fine with the 102 also.
What do you
Okay.
think, Christine?
So I just marked plus 23,000 on my plus side. Carla, do we have discussions on this?
Were we talking to 60, right, from 40 to 60?
Right.
Looking at the minimum, maximum here.
when is
See,
when is Carl's
I know,
anniversary?
but just as an overall,
Okay.
I'm not living and dying by it, but just,
Okay.
just as an overall.
When's your anniversary?
It just passed in May.
In May.
Okay. Let's see here.
So your 23 is 22.5, not the $500 is not for this one.
I'm-
So our numbers, your 23 is 22.5.
Why?
If we do 102.5,
125. Oh, you did, I didn't hear the 05.
yeah.
It's 102.5?
I
I thought it was 102.
said 102. but-
It's 102.5.
Yeah, but he came in at 102.5.
That's what you were
Is that right?
suggesting matching.
Could we somehow put Carla on the same
January?
cycle?
Yeah.
So that we can look at that again also?
Okay, sounds very good. So Carla will also get the review in January on the anniversary of Tracy. How's that?
And revisit in August if by chance our budget's looking good.
Yes. So that would save us, to be precise, $20,275, right?
What was it, clerk?
You keep track of that?
It will be
Yeah.
more than,
Yeah.
it'll be more than that because of the benefits, so let's see.
That's just the salary.
But we can't figure that out now. You're gonna have to figure
Oh,
that
yeah,
out
you can.
afterwards.
Yeah, you can. I have a computer.
Yes, she can.
That's why we pay the big bucks.
I think I already know the answer to this question, but under town clerk tab, town clerk and treasurer are two separate positions, correct? Or is it one and the same person?
It's the same person right now.
Second signature.
We just moved Jean from deputy clerk, deputy treasurer to treasurer, so it is separated now. So Carla would serve as town clerk and deputy treasurer.
Okay.
She's gonna be the backup for the treasurer. So when Jean's out, she can do payroll and pay bills.
But when I'm looking at this proposed 2020 of 80,275, that is,
That is for the town clerk
That is
slash
one.
deputy treasurer.
It's just the salary.
okay,
Yep.
gotcha. So, you're suggesting 60 versus the 80?
Correct. But I don't have the proper savings. It's 20,000 plus. But Tracy, are you still working on that? Or you wanna,
Well, if you added the, we put in the new revenue for the garbage and everything, we now have 71,570. to the good.
Okay. TMTC. Okay,
Those
cool.
two changes.
Okay, I'm turning the page to legal. Anybody have any questions on legal?
No, I was disappointed to learn that there's not a differential in pay rate.
Right,
I-
one flat rate.
Yeah, it was just a
Yeah.
flat no. It wasn't like discussion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, at a certain point, if we continue to have these type of legal bills, I mean,
But there's a very good chance that they'll reduce, because the P and Z created all these new ordinances with Wayne's help, and they've now gone into effect. So the amount of ordinance writing hopefully will drop. I saw something like a negative 47,000 in one of the budgets to do with legal. So that's a good thing.
Right.
Okay, I'm turning to Department of Budget Narrative Appointed Boards. I don't have anything marked there.
Yeah, minimal.
General Government. I guess this would be a question for Phil. The second paragraph of the text, the town pays down a state revolving fund loan annually amount of $468,000 for various stormwater drainage improvements, and the balance of the loan is currently $2.7 million. I guess, do we get like super low rates from the state, Tracy? Like, is it lower than any, is it time
The
to
state
take it?
revolving loan fund?
Yeah,
Yes, we do get lower rates.
it's just the best rate around.
Yep.
I flipped the page to general fund, government services. Anybody got any questions there?
Nothing changed.
I flipped to Tracy's great breakdown, budget detail worksheet. Budget detail worksheet, budget detail worksheet. PD, which is police department, or public safety. We're all very familiar with this. We've been through it all year.
The change from May 30th to July 1st is a reduction in overtime.
Right.
That's a good thing.
I'll come back.
Why are
It's
some
no
of your
surprise
numbers
what
in
I'm
red?
probably
The
gonna
red
say.
is just the change
You wanna do
between
it now?
May 30th to July
What-
1st
what else would
budgets,
we do?
based on the decisions of the town commission.
What do you mean by come back?
And we
To
were
talk
asked
about
as staff to make some cuts, so
additional
you see those in red.
Monies in
Okay.
the police department. Line items.
You want to do it? Are you talking in here, or are you talking in capital expenditures?
I guess it's under capital expenditures.
Yeah, I think we're gonna spend a lot of time on
Yeah.
that. So
Okay.
do you wanna kind of
Okay.
leave that when it gets in order?
All right, Public Safety Department, Tracy's sheet 1, Tracy's sheet 2. Anybody got any notes written, just speak up. All right, I'm on to Building Department, Building Inspection Services. It should be noted that other department budget lines, I'm sure it decreases. Okay, this is what I asked for, Tracy, right? This is, it's
Yes.
147. In other words, Wayne's budget has swollen dramatically, but it's because different departments and different people and different categories have been put into his department.
Yeah, some of it is that, and some of it is because we have, the building department is exploding right now. You see all the building going on, so we're spending more in engineering, we're spending more in inspection services, things like that.
But isn't a lot of that passed through to the,
It's definitely passed through, yes.
okay. So,
Including engineering.
Yes,
so kind of, we have to have it in the expense, but then we get it in
Right,
revenues. Okay.
exactly.
Wayne, you want to say anything about your budget?
Leave it right on now, that's it.
Okay.
Oh, just to note too, the change between May 30th and July 1st budget, we removed $45,000 in software costs because we found a vendor that will save us that much money, so,
Wow.
yep. And the software seems like it's gonna be good, so.
Oh, good.
Yep.
And we got the computers from,
And 3 old
Katie
laptops that the
Carpenter.
chief
Yes,
coughed up.
2,000.
thank you, Chief.
Nice
What's your
work.
difference?
Your laptops, you're welcome to have them.
Thanks for Make
So
them
thank you
happen.
to Wayne and Lisa Burns for researching that and getting us a price
That's
that
terrific.
was a lot
Thank
better.
Thank you, excellent.
Okay, I am on to,
Solid waste and
garbage.
recycling?
Yeah, which we already did, correct?
Right.
Okay, I'm on to, I can't read it, physical environment? Did I skip a page?
Nope.
Uh-uh.
Nothing changed in this budget between May 30th and today.
Okay, PW. Everyone's aware that the public works budget is a little higher this year for various reasons. Okay, I'm flipping through Tracy's sheets to personnel. I'm just flipping through them onto the stat sheets. This is what we already looked at when we were reviewing the other material. Anybody got any questions? I'm flipping right through it.
Well, don't we have to deal with the salary survey, which is kind of, I would say, bad
The
news, trying
salary
to cut
ranges.
costs going up?
Yeah.
I mean, don't we have to deal with the dispatchers here that you dealt with the town
No, we
clerk?
don't actually.
No, not right now,
No.
but what we.
Oh, you don't want to?
No,
No.
not right
Okay.
now. We do have a proposed salary range chart. That needs a little bit of work now that we made some changes to the town manager and town clerk, so we'll bring that back next month.
Okay.
Okay?
But what about the 2% or whatever, we said 1.5 to 2, you don't want to deal with that at all?
Let's do it next time.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
it'll
Okay,
be easier.
I can't read this next word.
Contingency?
Contingency, okay. The town typically budgets 50,000 for natural disasters and 50,000 for general. Contingency, Tracy has recommended increasing the general contingency to 75 for a total of 125, which helps you, Christine, with your concern, right?
I think it's different, it's apples to oranges.
Does anybody have any problem with raising it?
Well, if we're looking for money, I think we gotta lower it, to be honest with you, but,
Well, it's a place to pull from, but it's also pretty important.
It is, I mean, you can lower it at 25,000 if you need to. It is the catch-all though, if you have water main breaks and things like that that happen throughout the year,
happen.
this is where we pay for it.
Right.
So what did our two A1A water main breaks cost us this year?
A lot.
Yeah,
And let's talk about more than just lots.
Yeah,
One was 20 and one was 40? Wayne?
Oh, no,
More than that.
a lot more.
71.
71.
71 and 25.
25.
Wow.
Yeah, about 100, I think. It's in here
Yes.
somewhere, I saw it.
That's correct.
And I don't believe that this year was an anomaly.
I don't
I
either.
think it's kind of things to come.
So the one in front of Melnick's was only $71,000?
That's just the water main break itself, then we have got the mill and overlay and the
Okay, so
asphalt
let's
work
talk about the
separate.
whole package. So this was the water main break, so 71 is obviously with Melnick's, so
And then 90,000 is asphalt on that one.
90,000? Okay,
On this one?
uh-huh, yeah, that's what I mean.
All in, yeah, it's a big deal.
And on the other one, I know that we haven't done it yet.
I hate to interrupt you. 90,000 just for the asphalt or for the entire job?
The-
Entire job.
The entire asphalt roadwork repair is $90,000.
Excluding the actual fix of the pipe?
Yes.
Plus 71 for the pipe.
31 or 35.
So the $70,000 included the water main break itself, the plumbing portion,
Right.
so to speak, and then the emergency repair associated with that to keep A1A open. Once that emergency repair was completed, now we've got the mill and overlay as required by DOT to smooth everything out.
So $161,000 is what that
For that.
wonderful
Just
little.
Okay, that's what we're.
And we've got another one down by the inlet. So far, it's been 25, but we're gonna have the mill and overlay also. Obviously, it won't probably be as
No, the-
extensive.
No,
Maybe,
it could-
maybe not. DOT might let that one slide because it's already smooth.
So it sounds like this one was a particular disaster.
When DOT did the repair, or when Litech did the repair with their contractor at the one at 6897, they did the proper compaction and steps that may not require us to go back and redo it. When Moyton Beach did the emergency repair over here based upon the extensive nature of what was going on, they did not do it that way. They did it as an emergency repair
Right.
to allow the road to be open until it could be open and then rebuilt.
Okay, so best case scenario is $260,000, so I don't think reducing the contingency might,
So why don't we leave it for now?
So, I have a question, is
And
there
then
insurance
earmark
monies that'll cover some of these? I thought we were getting insurance monies from both of them, or not?
No,
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 none?
not
So
for
that's-
those jobs, no.
and we don't get insurance money because we own the
Because they don't
pipes?
cover the underground pipes, correct.
So if we did not own the pipes, and I'm not throwing shade anywhere, but
Where's
would that?
Betty?
Yeah, I know, but, don't hate me, but whose dime would that have been on then?
Boynton, if Boynton owned the pipes, it would have been their cost.
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna leave the contingency at 125, but we're gonna earmark it because we might need it later, depending on more information.
See what we're saving from elsewhere, blah, 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 and then we look back at it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm with that.
Okay, I have flipped to capital fund.
Should probably flip right to the data sheet on that, and then if we need to go back to the explanations, we can.
Oh,
Report to.
I'm gonna have to pull the data sheet
Oh,
out.
here,
because I
I'll bring
went
it back.
to
There you
text.
go.
How do I do this?
You wanna go to your FY '20 capital items list.
This data sheet, is that?
No,
what you call it?
that's the 5-year capital, go one ahead of that, yep.
Okay.
This one right here.
Tracy, which one was that?
That's this one.
All the way to the end.
Do I have it?
Not that, you know.
But that's my last sheet. Unless I
Almost
missed
the
it.
last sheet. Should be the last three.
Oh, it's not this page, no, I don't have it.
Steve, I think you took that page out of your book when we were talking about it Friday during our staff meeting.
Do you think I stuck
you
it in
put-
the wrong location?
Maybe.
Here it is.
Good, excellent.
There you go.
All right. Okay, so I went through the individual items on the text, so I'm gonna go through the text if that's okay with everyone, which will
Sure.
match the data sheet, right?
Mhm. Yes, it
Okay.
does.
So, the Woolbright detention pond been reduced from 20 to 15,000. So, I got a very hard question, which of course Don's gonna get upset at me about. Since we're so far off budget, and from what I understand from Tracy, is that recent tests have said it's working excellently, and the town engineer doesn't seem to be that enthusiastic about needing maintenance in this fiscal year, can we postpone that maintenance till next fiscal year?
It's gonna be up to the commission. It does work properly based on testing that was done. However, don't forget that the maintenance needs to happen. The tilling will help to aerate the soil so that it percolates better. And that's what the 15,000 is for. So it's gonna be up to you. Do you wanna defer that for a year? You can,
I think, haven't we spent $20,000 on each of the last 2 years?
you've spent quite a bit because we did the plantings, we redid the plantings in there.
And we cleared it out.
Exactly, yes.
And they did the photograph, the video
The
and
underground.
the
Of the
pipes and
piping.
whatnot.
Yeah,
But the problem with it is if you eliminate it or reduce it this year, that you're just gonna increase the cost
next year, yep.
So it's one of
I
those.
don't know if that's necessarily true.
Well, if
from our
you don't
conversations.
till,
You'll definitely need it eventually.
You will need it next year, but I
You'll
don't think it's gonna
definitely
be
need it.
at an increased cost.
the, at the northeast side is not draining through the soil, it's flowing, it's not percolating down, it's flowing towards the drain. And so when you get rains and whatnot like we've had, we've got standing water back there now that really shouldn't be standing more than 78 hours, according to the state requirements. So
Right.
that's why the tilling would help. And then they're putting in, with the tilling and that 15,000, then they'd also do more planting. which
Right,
helps
so
takes care of the
how much
other
does it cost? From what I'm hearing, the tilling seems important.
Yes, which
And
is the
that costs what,
15,000.
$5,000?
That's the 15.
15's just tilling?
Yes,
Is that still, it's the tilling
That's
and
the
the
tilling.
planting,
I
or
don't think
just,
that's
no, that's
right.
just the tilling,
just the tilling?
right? Is
Yeah.
that correct, Wayne?
Yeah.
What we're trying to do here is trying to save what plants are there. We've got algae building up currently. So instead of destroying the plants that's there, save what we can. So basically skim off the top part, go ahead and rotill what's there so it can get oxygen below and let this thing percolate better than what you currently have. And at the same time, fix the berm so that the water doesn't, and the dirt and fill doesn't just sheet flow straight into the storm drain, causing additional maintenance on the outfall. So that's what the 15 includes. So the 15 includes a package price to work with what we have there.
So I guess
Include the tilling.
it comes down to three questions. Is it currently functioning properly?
It's currently functioning. It is currently
Yes.
functioning, yes.
And by not spending this money, does it put the detention area at risk for waiting 12 months to do this?
I can't answer that
Yeah.
question.
See, you-
I can, it's based on just how much rain we're gonna be getting and, how fast you want the water to be standing there, you know, waiting for, to be draining properly, or it can pond a little bit longer. It's all up to you.
So I got two comments on it. One is, I mean, I think this year has been a bit of an eye-opener for everybody in terms of monies that maybe have been deferred, maintenance that's been deferred, money we need to spend. It's a big number, I agree. So, I mean, I'm all for, sharpening the pencil as much as we can. We've got to remember what this area, detention area does. It protects all the houses on Tropic, on Fayette. I mean, it
South
covers
end of town.
the whole south end of
Adams
town.
Street
And
south.
But that's,
all it takes is one or two rain events, and if you've already got standing water and it's not percolating, it's not, saturating, I'm just afraid that if we have a really couple big rain events and it doesn't do what it's supposed to do because it's been delayed a little bit, then it's gonna be twice as much to have to fix it and repair it. So $15,000 in this size of budget doesn't seem to be a lot of, this is our insurance policy for it to behave.
calling the insurance policy is a little strong, because remember, we're also putting in the camera systems and the additional work at Tropical. But if everyone wants to keep the 15 in, I'm just bringing it up as an option after my discussions with various experts on that detention pond.
But the other concept is, I think we've kind of learned our lesson about not keeping our maintenance up as much as
Well,
possible.
the reason we're in such weeds is
But I
because
mean, many
there's only
things.
really two things, the fire hydrant and Spanish River.
But the next thing will be coming because we're in a fragile place. And I kind of go for the same thing. I think it's
Does
important to
everybody
keep it
share
up.
that? Keep it
I
in?
do, for sure.
Well, I had it going out, but I don't mind waiting until we all get done. But I think you guys gotta remember,
Yeah.
we've increased our revenue, forget about the reserves, we've increased our revenue from the taxes going up by 10%. So we're in a good economy, we've got 10% more revenue, or at least we're going up 10% when inflation should be going up 3 or 4%. So we should be doing good this year, and we're in a big hole. So all I'm saying is, when we eventually get in a big hole because the economy goes down, we're gonna be in a real big hole. So
Right.
just
We're
want
gonna be
everybody
in
to be
a
aware of
staff
that.
cutting
when
hole.
we get
Part
through
of
this.
the problem that we're in the big hole now is because we put off doing things like this in the past. I mean, when we should have done the maintenance and the economy was down, I understand all that, so we didn't spend the money when we should have. And so now, those fees to get us back up to where we should be, we're paying for it. We've got to either pay for it this year, or we're gonna have to pay for it next year.
Right, but what are the examples? I understand the fire hydrants, but that's only $100,000 of our big gap. I mean, we've got like a $700,000 gap now, so where's the other 600,000 that we didn't do in the past?
We're down from the 700. We're down, right? We're down to 4.
No, we've
No, we added
increased
the 180,
300,000.
because that was additional revenue that
Yeah.
you can
That's
be
our-
on, so.
I'm just saying that you either pay the piper now or you pay the piper more, and it could be twice as much next year. And if we have a
Or it could be
hurricane this
identical
year.
money that we expend this year. So we're gonna keep it in.
Yeah, we're gonna
But
move
just
on.
realize that what Phil's pointing out is facts. You know, we have $700,000 we
And
need to
and
find.
there's another fact is that we didn't do what we should have done when we should have done it, which puts us in this position. So at some point in time, we've got to start,
But we also saved 5 there, right? It was
We
20
did.
and now it's 15, so,
That's already in the
I know, I
the
know.
numbers. Okay, storm drain maintenance repairs. I don't think there's a discussion on that unless, Phil?
Well, I had said keep it the same way.
Yeah.
That number 2 is knocked 25 grand out of there.
Yeah, and the fire hydrants, no discussion. So people stop me if they wanna say something.
Well,
Well, wait, are we knocking it down 25, or are we keeping it the same?
what,
The 150, yeah. The storm drain maintenance, and, no, not the second one. I thought you moved this number 2.
I did move to number 2.
And you let it go, or you wanna bring it down to 125, cause it's up to 150?
What's throwing in the extra 25, Tracy? Is this all to do with Spanish River, or is this maintenance around
No,
town?
that's all your, that's your maintenance, that's your regular storm drain maintenance. If you wanted to reduce, I would suggest doing it under number 5 instead. And you can.
Which is,
Paving.
yeah,
That's your paving, grading, and drainage infrastructure. I've done some calculations on Lisa's numbers, and we could comfortably probably bring it down 25,000 on that particular line.
Well, I had it on both, but,
Oh, you had it on
yeah,
both?
well, I had 20 on this one, and I
But
had 25 on the
did you
other.
get new proposals on the removal of the vegetation at Spanish River?
Not yet. We're having trouble getting proposals on that. People don't wanna bid on it.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so Phil, back to number 2.
Well, I had said just go to the original budget. Each year, we put in 125, that's all. So it would be knock it down 25.
You know, since we're spending so much additional
That's
money
up
on
to you.
Spanish River, I think that's a reasonable request Phil has.
Well, then what do you tell the folks on Bimini Cove? What do you tell the folks on Dolphin Lane? What
Well,
do you
no,
tell
it's
your
still
folks on Anna?
125,000.
Well, it says this additional funding will be used for the clearing of the obstructed lines, which are other places than just that, correct?
Mm-hmm.
well, the storm drain maintenance, that's the 150, and you're saying it was 125?
It was 125.
Yes,
Right.
correct. Yep.
It,
We're boosting up maintenance
If
throughout
we
the
get-
town.
If we get Spanish River 54, 55 fixed,
Yes.
it probably will lessen the effect that or the need to do anything at Bimini, down at the other area where they decided not to do
On the one end.
easement. So
Mhm.
I think we could probably go by with
Wanna go down?
125 if we can get Spanish River 54, 55 fixed.
But it's gonna cost $100,000 to fix Spanish 54.
Yeah, but that's in
55.
That's
this
a
year's
different item.
budget, right?
That's
Yes.
a different item.
Correct.
And Spanish River is
Coming from
responsible
elsewhere?
for this number being so high over the years. Remember down at the end of Spanish River?
Mhm.
So storm drain minus 25.
Don't tell anybody I said that.
Yeah.
Okay, fire hydrants. Woolbright and Tropical Pump Station pump replacement. This goes to Christine's point, it's gotta be working, right?
Wait, let's go back to the fire hydrants and Betty, go like this. But somebody said that, if Boynton owned the water pipes, they would have paid for the repair of the broken water pipes. Does that hold true? for
Include
the
fire hydrants? Yeah, it's all included.
So we're in discussion with Boynton now on those issues, right?
No.
Not yet. We're hiring the financial consultant, and
Yeah.
Lisa's doing her proposal. We're going to be starting to, we have to, because the contract is up in 20.
I just wanted to bring that up so that
Yep. All right, I'm on to number 5, which Tracy says we should reduce by how much, Tracy?
You can reduce that by 25 comfortably.
But the paving?
Well, it's not even paving though this year, because you already decided to defer that to 21, so it's gonna be more of grading and our drainage infrastructure, sorry.
Okay, number 6, Public Works Machinery and Equipment.
Did you wanna reduce it?
I just did on my chart.
Do we have consensus?
I'm
He
fine
doesn't
with that.
slow
Yeah, right, look
down,
at
he
that.
doesn't stop, doesn't pay go.
How much on your chart did you reduce it?
25.
25?
So I'm happy to say that we are
That should be doable.
almost
That should
over
be
100,000
doable.
saved.
We'll survive without going into.
Oh, we are,
Okay. Just need to get a little extra here. Okay.
Okay, Public Works Machinery and Equipment. Tracy, this, from what I understand, is a,
The next three lines, we would like you to keep the same if possible.
Yeah, they
We-
basically
this is-
save us money, right?
Right.
Right,
Because
right,
we're
right.
using, right? Not renting the stuff.
Right, yeah.
Exactly.
The tools, so everything, didn't it?
so number 9, Tropical Pump Station Wet Well Rehabilitation. I'm assuming that falls into that category.
Has to be.
That needs to be done.
Yeah, has to be.
10, camera system for the pump stations. Again, this has
That's a
to be.
security for, our security and insurance for you.
Door replacement is demanded by the ADA. That's number 11. All-terrain vehicle to,
Wait, on that one, I've been asked do we have the automatic door openers? Is that part of the,
I'm looking into it.
you're looking into it?
why do we
I
want
was
automatic
asked as
door
well.
openers?
The ADA,
ADA.
you can't,
You have to have them. Wow.
unless you're coming in with a wheelchair, you have to be able to have the doors open
And that's
automatically.
included in the price? We don't know.
We don't know.
Don't know yet, but I think so, yes.
So that one, we need to just put a question mark on it. It might go up,
Yeah.
it might go down.
Right.
Number 12, all-terrain vehicle to replace a $7,000 all-terrain vehicle.
How many miles is on ours? It was,
The one that's due to be replaced is falling apart.
Right.
We've already replaced the frame once ourselves. We anticipate being to get a little trade-in value,
right.
if we, get rid of it soon enough.
I think we should keep it in. mean,
Yeah, I think we need it too.
Yeah. Okay, body worn camera systems. I'm not a fan, as everyone knows. And I did some research on the internet. This is number 13. There could be unintended costs associated with this. Once you have these body cams in place, and by the way, Gulfstream has in-car cameras that are becoming obsolete, which they're not at this point going to attempt to fix, and they're not gonna have body cameras. So we just have that in our thoughts.
But Manalapan has both.
Manalapan has both, that's correct. Once you have these body cameras, my fear is that it's then going to cause us to then have the unintended consequences of lawyers, citizens, whatever, requesting these videos from us 24/7. If somebody has an altercation or an uncomfortable occurrence, they're going to request this, which is then require a clerk. Currently, our dispatchers who are undermanned are the clerks that this would probably fall upon, from what I understand from the chief. So we're understaffed dispatchers. We're gonna have to hire clerks to review these videotapes. And I think it's a cost, particularly in this year, that we don't need.
I had it taken out of the budget also, I postponed it till next year.
Yeah.
I'm for them. I think it's kind of the way that the future, it doesn't do anything to ruin our community policing.
Oh, I think it does affect.
Yeah, I really don't, once people get used to it, everybody's afraid of something new because they don't understand what comes from it.
I'm
But I
against
think
it
it's the way to go.
philosophically, as you know,
I
from
know.
last meeting, and now I'm against it from a cost standpoint.
Right, I know.
And I don't think this is 23,000 one time, right? This is gonna cause an ongoing budget.
This is an ongoing budget expenditure that we will have, no matter what, whether we do it or not. I mean,
Right.
we respond to public records requests all the time. You are correct. The dispatchers serve as the administrative support staff for the police department. We have no other. They do a fine job, actually.
I'm in favor of keeping it in.
So we got 2 in favor, 2
I'm
against.
sorry, but was there a
We have
motion?
2 in favor of keeping it, no, this is just to decide if it makes round 2. You're the deciding vote, Don.
No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure.
as you know, I'm not in favor of body cameras myself, because I think it moves Ocean Ridge from what I like, Mayberry RFD. I like the way that the police officers interact with the citizens now. Most of them do stop, they'll wave, so on and so forth. I think we've got a pretty good relationship with the public now, between the police and the public. I just can't see him in Ocean Ridge. I really can't, and I hate to tell the chief that, but, you know, that's my personal feeling. It may not be the feeling of some of the residents that I've talked to, but, and I'm not even talking about the money, I'm just talking about philosophically, how I think that will affect the residents of Ocean Ridge. And so I'm going to, that's my opinion.
Can we do the same where we take it out and see how our money's looking in the
Sure.
final run? And if we're
Sure.
not, you know, strangling for money, it's one of those items that we could possibly
I think you've got some public comment.
revisit.
Public comment?
Yes, so in.
Zoanne Hennigan, 91 Island Drive South. A resident public comment. I think it's of true value to both the police force and the residents of Ocean Ridge to have the body cams. I don't think it's going to negatively affect anybody, and I only see positive from it.
Thank you. So we're following Susan's,
We have one more.
go.
Jerry?
I know Jerry's position on this.
Jerry Lauer, 2 Harbor Drive. At the last meeting, Hal talked about the varieties of ways that those cameras can be used. They can be set to only turn on when there's a blue light special. The lights are running, a firearm is pulled. So the concept that it's going to intimidate everyday community policing when somebody just stops by to wave and say hi doesn't have to be in place. The police chief has asked for them as tools for his department. Members of the community are encouraging you that it is a worthwhile expenditure. Sharpen your pencil or add money to the budget. I genuinely, as a citizen in this community, would encourage you to pay the price and buy them this year. Putting it off 1 year accomplishes nothing for this year.
There are members of the community that disagree with your position and don't want them as well.
I understand. They should come and express their views as well.
So seeing that it's looking like the majority would like to hold off on that,
Correct.
can we hold off and then revisit it before we make our final?
Yes.
Okay.
I think Betty wants to speak as
Oh, one more.
I watch the effectiveness of body cameras in a lot of places, and I think sometimes they can be absolutely essential in protecting our police. And I'm 100% in favor of it, because I don't think they'll have them on all the time. I think they'll only have them on when there's a confrontation.
Any other public comment? Okay, number 14, Town Hall AC units. We approved 7,500. And Tracy, you think you need 2 now? Tracy?
No, 7,500 is good.
Okay.
Oh,
There you go.
so in the budget, do you have 15?
Nope,
Yeah, so 75.
75.
Oh, I'm on
Yeah.
the text, not the sheet. Anna Street runoff, we don't have to worry about.
That actually, whose idea was that to put the rocks down there on Anna Street?
Like
It
Billy.
was Billy, Wayne, Lisa, and I's discussion.
There you go, town engineer. It worked, because, I mean, after all that rain we had at the end of Anna Street, we didn't have all the mud laying down at the end, so just something as silly as putting the rocks down along that wall, just,
It was a lot cheaper, too. It was a
And-
good
I bet.
alternative.
Wayne and Billy also came up with the concept of the rocks down at Beachway.
Yeah.
That saves all that sand from going in the.
Right.
And it costs.
A natural
nothing.
barrier, yeah.
Yeah.
With Anna Street, and I'm delighted that there has been an impact, there hasn't been a complete impact, because I live at that end of town, there is still quite a bit of pooling. It
Well, that's
wasn't dirty
the-
and mud, but, so my question is, I mean, and I'll bring this up later at the commission meeting, there has got to be, going forward, some partnership between us making repairs and the citizens and residents themselves, trying to help us in any way to piggyback on what we're doing to make it even a better solution. And I mean, every time I drive by Anna, I just wanna go and knock on that door. It's just like, really? I mean, how obvious can it be that they're creating all that pooling? So, I'm delighted that, you know, a little bit of gravel helped, but a swale at the bottom of that property is what we really need.
Well, we're waiting for FDOT to,
Right,
still,
come in with a
that's
drain.
still,
But I
down
remember
the
in the
road
last
there.
meeting, I think you brought something up like this, and I think Wayne, on any structure that's being built on A1A, is gonna work with the homeowner to get it
Because-
swept.
And I'm saying,
Because
for
it's
the
utility.
amount of money that we're spending on infrastructure, we shouldn't wait for only go forward. I mean, you can ask residents now to help
That's true.
help me, help you, help me,
Yeah.
help you, right?
Right.
tried
We
to
can
do that,
certainly
so-
approach them again.
You can try again.
You try
Yes.
again.
Right?
All you
Just
can do
keep
is
trying.
try.
What's the worst that happens?
Okay, I'm up to 16. Any other comment on Anna? 16, the new police vehicle, $48,000.
Was that a no from you?
Yeah, it was a no for me.
Any other
Well, I have it out too, is, do you have anything, I'd like to hear Hal's comment on it though, unless you want everybody to vote kind of.
No,
first,
no,
but
no.
I-
Let's hear it.
Chance to speak.
Can it wait one more year?
We're working on trying to figure out how to extend the life of our police cars to a longer cycle. Based upon where we are now, I have yet to receive the donated vehicle or the other two vehicles that we purchased this year from the dealership yet, so that will extend it out a little bit. Based upon history, I would ask that if you're going to remove that you make it the last thing that you remove. I will do my best not to spend the money. However, if something happens, the fleet that we currently have is pretty much the fleet we need. And I don't want to get caught in a situation where we have a catastrophic failure on something, where we get to the point like we are now, where we have our reserve car that we've kept just in case, and that has finally gotten to the point where the repairs would not be beneficial. We're trading it in, thank goodness, but it has no brakes. We can't use it until we trade it in. I mean, well, it's got brakes. It's like driving your 1950 pickup truck with a power steering with brakes. Not comfortable, not usable for patrol. We could set it for something fixed and get by.
Poor
for-
Wayne
for
gonna
life.
get it?
I was thinking about that last Friday that Wayne made up, and it's okay. We're not- I just, history tells me that it's as low as I would like to go. I understand that we are facing a lot of expenses we haven't in the past. So, with all due respect, I'm gonna let you make the hard decision. And, you know, if the decision is to remove it, and we get 6 months into the year and I have to come back to you, I'll come back to you. And I'm not shy about doing that, you know,
Yeah.
if I need to spend money, I'll
That's
tell
fair.
you need it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Other than that, the educated guess tells me that's a good thing to have in the budget.
One of the things that perked my ears last time, Chief, was that you said if it did, we had talked about what were for the older cars, what was the average maintenance cost associated with them because we've gone through this cycle before when we didn't have enough money to fund a car and had to keep it. And you had said on an average $8,000. So, I mean, maybe we should build in additional monies for maintenance, maybe a $10,000 maintenance, you know.
So we've already built in additional monies because insurance monies coming forward when we have body damage or crash damage, or they hit something in the road and damage a piece of undercarriage that's not covered by warranty, is no longer coming back into the budget the way it was.
Mhm.
So we were budgeting at bare bones for maintenance, and that's already been increased a little bit. there's probably another way we could handle it, but according to my discussion with the manager, we've been doing it wrong all along. And
So the $8,000, building an additional $8,000 is what?
You all are trying to cut.
Yes.
Yeah, we still need
And I
500.
understand, you all are trying to cut. The last thing that I would recommend cutting is personnel and salary and benefits, because I think that you have a good employee workforce all over now. I think you're getting to where you need to be as a town. So if this is something that you absolutely need to do for $48,000, if we have to get through the year, we'll do the best we can. If it gets to dire consequences, then
But don't forget,
you'll see me coming in. I won't be begging, I'll just be telling you.
didn't-
Right, we have to do it.
We didn't remove the money from contingency yet either.
Right.
No, I understand that, but I'm saying, I said, so don't,
Okay.
if we don't make it through,
But I think that's a fair,
just
fair
please don't give me
compromise.
that surprised look about,
Nope.
what do you mean? And I'll be happy.
Carla wrote it down. We know we will be hearing about this.
Okay, thank you very much, Chief.
So can we
So
take the
can-
48 out?
Yep.
Oh, you're
Is that a consensus?
Yes.
I believe.
Yes.
Okay.
Seal coat and striping, the town is deferring. That's number 17. Number 18, garage is deferring. Street name sign replacement, Tracy's reduced that by
6,000.
by 6,000. Let me go to your sheet, Tracy. Yep,
Yeah, that's
6,000,
right.
okay, thank you. And by the way, when you reduced it on here, it's not reduced in the budget, so I can add it to savings on my side sheet, correct, Tracy?
No, it reduced the
Yeah, she
budget.
put everything in yellow.
It's in
Oh,
there.
she did it.
Yeah.
Oh, darn it. I'm going from
Nice
text.
job.
Maintenance of town facilities, 20,000.
That's at your pleasure. This will not be spent this year. This is a savings for your capital, so that when you need a roof replacement for town hall, or town hall needs to be painted, you have the money available to do so.
So I'm a fan of the concept. I just think this particular year with Spanish River, the drainage and the fire hydrant is just a bad year to start.
I also took it out, too.
Anybody have any other thoughts? I like the concept, and I agree with the concept, it's just we're getting socked by $500,000.
How,
in drainage
how
and
about
fire
keeping the
hydrants.
concept and reducing the number? Because what I really want people to start thinking about is we need some capital planning. We
Right.
don't really necessarily have one. We tasked Tracy with it. She came up with a 5-year CIP plan. Most towns run on a 10 and 15-year CIP plan. So I would like for all of us, both on the dais and in the audience, to understand that we need to start saving for outside of reserves for just kind of everyday wear and tear what we haven't.
Totally agree. This is just a horrible year.
But reducing
It
it's
will be more of a horrible year next year if you defer everything.
That's right,
Just
it
No,
just
no,
gets
no.
doubled.
Well,
I think that's a
We're,
good
we're
idea.
getting hit by $500,000
Could we
in
do
between
10?
Spanish River and hydrants and the other drainage problem.
But if you
We've
look
got-
at your capital, next year it's gonna be
We've got 10 on the
worse.
table.
Yeah,
Commissioner
how about 10?
Peralta.
How about 10? Because I think the concept, and sometimes you do have to think about the big picture. And the concept of, no, it's coming, right? And what
You
if
know
it
it's
comes on
coming.
another bad, horrible year? At least we'll have started
I can't
moving.
imagine what.
Especially if you run into an economic downturn,
That's
then
right.
you're really in trouble.
Throw a storm on top of that.
You wanna
Yeah,
cut it in
things
half?
happen.
That's the idea, to cut it in half. Does everybody
Yeah,
agree?
that's my
Sure.
suggestion.
Ten
Can we live with
thousand?
that?
Beach crossover repairs,
Just one last question. So will this be set aside in a special capital fund?
Yes, it's gonna be put into your capital.
But earmarked for?
Yes.
Okay. I'm just making
That's
sure.
it?
until the chief needs a car.
Yeah, the chief needs a car.
So that was gonna be my question, was if we are actually trying to cut down bare bones to absolutely only what we need in this budget year, is this the time to save, or is this something that's, again, not the appropriate time to do it?
That's my point, but
And-
no one agrees.
And the reason I say that is because I've just given you you can take the 48,000, but I may come back and ask for it, and you've agreed to that. Whereas if this is something that you know you are not going to spend this year, I don't understand the logic in that, I'm
There's
sorry.
something between bare bones and cutting
Okay,
numbers.
okay.
Wait a minute, maybe we didn't hear from all the commissioners. I agree with what the chief
Right,
just said.
that's what you're saying.
You two want to start it.
Right, I want to keep
And I
it,
think
I want
it's
to
a
keep
great
it
idea to
alive.
start it, I just think
Right,
that
right.
we're talking,
A bad
But it
deal.
doesn't have
Out
to
of
go
both
all the
sides.
way to the
What do you
bone.
think, Don?
I think we should reduce it to half.
To 10? Right, we got that.
Yeah.
Phil?
No, yeah, I said the half too,
All
but
right, so-
I agree with Christine. I mean, we do have to start saving this money for a
Right.
rainy day, and to get it started, it's fine with me.
Even on a tough year, find somewhere, because I think that's
Okay.
important.
Okay, number 21, beach crossover repairs, 15,000.
Any way to do part of this in-house? I mean, I know our maintenance guys are already up to their, eyeballs in work and lists that go on forever, but
And where did the $15,000 number come from? It says Porter Street is a priority. I can't imagine spending $15,000 on,
It's all the
That would be
crossovers.
for a total redo of the crossover. That would be 15,000, just like we did Beachway.
wait a minute, you were talking about taking it out.
It would be a total
Right,
redo of the
right, right,
crossover.
right.
I'm not in favor of that.
No,
200,
I
300.
thought this was just that they had screws popping up from the planks,
And they wanted to put
Have
the
to
screws
repair.
back in so people didn't rip the soles of their feet.
Correct.
And the
trip hazards.
15,000 was going across all three.
It was for all of the crossovers.
Right,
Yeah.
because,
Oh, which was
Thompson
done
and
repairing.
Corinne, right?
yeah, Korean and all the boards
Yeah,
are all,
that-
Yeah, it's repairs,
that's
it's not
cheap.
redo.
Well,
the
I'm
boards
not-
are probably like $2,000 to replace those boards.
Yeah, they're not cheap.
And that's
Because-
3 of them.
No, the boards on Korean are totally different than Porter. Porter are like a real bridge.
But this is repairs, right? We're not replacing, we're repairing.
This would be repair, yeah.
Well, Korean will be, you can't just replace independent boards there.
No, is that the one that has the roll?
Yeah,
Right, we replaced the
The
whole
roll.
roll. Remember, we had that whole talk with the
Yeah, it
gentleman?
needs to be
Or
leveled out.
sometimes, remember what he said? Turn it over because it's the sun that is deteriorating it, not the,
Korean's a mess,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
But it's just the roll, which how much?
and the other one is Diamond Beach, so that needs some repair, but I certainly don't want that taken out either. I mean, I don't want it replaced.
I don't think we're
like-
taking out anything.
So you have Edith, Diamond Beach, and Porter Street, which require repair to remain open.
Right.
Yep.
Corinne, Thompson, and, for lack of a better term, Tropical are walk paths that may require minimal repair. However,
Tri-
the
Tropical-
Edith,
Trip hazard.
but I'm saying if you had to do something, Edith, Porter, and Diamond Beach are walkover type, which,
Right, right,
that's where your board replacement, if you don't replace them, people fall through.
Right.
You do not trip over the board. to let
right,
them down.
exactly.
And that's what the 15,000 would encompass, making sure that those are repaired to the point that they can stay open, not replaced.
All
On
right.
Corinne, do we need to replace the wooden path, since we don't have a wooden path on Beachway now, and we don't have a wooden
On Anna.
path on,
Anna.
huh?
Anna, we don't either.
In Anna, we don't have one. So, I mean, can we take that out and level it off?
It has to be looked at, right?
has to be
Because it
looked at.
wasn't planned to be without a path. Those have been planned to be without a path. It has to be some kind of planning to it, it's just not an empty path. They're empty without the roll because they don't need it. You might find something under Corinne that keeps you from having just a sand walkthrough without hurting somebody. Because that's the new version, right, of the walkovers, is now making the natural path versus that.
can we
So
start
on
with
some of
turning
it.
it over?
Well, that's, remember, what's his name said that sometimes those rollers turn.
So what's the pleasure of the commission on the $15,000?
Well, we have to repair, I think we have to repair the ones that are,
Those ones that.
Are the three
they're called
walkovers.
Bridges, yeah.
and for the rollouts, that would be Corrine, and what's the price, anybody would know what the price of just replacing that?
It was cheap.
That's what I would think,
Yeah.
right?
If, how many people use that one anyway?
Corrine gets used.
Corrine
All those
gets
people that park their boats, we had that talk the other day, a lot of people go in that park for the boats across the street, park and come
Oh,
across.
cool.
Oh, yeah, I see them come over with the whole bit.
Did not know that.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll leave it in. That sounds like what
I
we're
think it has to
deciding.
be done, yeah, it's part of us.
All right, the vulnerability study, number 22. Okay, this is $23,000. Okay, so on the vulnerability study, this is vulnerability for sea level rise. and Vice Mayor Magruder has attached a memo as well. I'm not a fan of this. I've talked to Manalapan and Gulfstream. They are not going to participate in it. In fact, Manalapan's not even going to allow them to present. Lantana has not had a presentation. My overall feeling is that I don't get the cost benefit of what we're doing here. We're gonna be alone on this strip here, putting $23,000 into this group, and the person that came up and spoke to us was out of Broward, on a sea level vulnerability. Meanwhile, we have our town engineer who has already done our vulnerability across town, which she's produced that map that's now in the conference room, which shows our areas of vulnerability. We also are instituting a sewerage committee, and in talks with Boynton, and we have a gentleman who's coming in about funding the sewerage committee this evening, which is something that the town can do. We can deal with sewerage, which as sea level rise occurs, the sewerage situation is gonna be mandated, number one, and number two, it's gonna be mandated even if the sea level situation doesn't occur. So we've already pushed money towards sewerage, which I agree with, and I just don't see what the vulnerability study gets us.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more. The vulnerability study does not just look at next year. It's looking at 5 and 10 and 15 years out. It's looking at the difference in climate change as far as heat, what that does to the infrastructure of Ocean Ridge. It also looks at sea level rise. It'll be looking at the detention pond. If anything, I'm somewhat surprised that the town engineer is not really in favor of doing this, because it helps her tremendously in being able to set the priorities for the town going forward, other than just 1 year or 2 years. As an example, West Palm Beach just went through a major vulnerability study by a firm out of North Carolina. They went through it by, of course, West Palm Beach is much larger than Ocean Ridge, I'll give you that. But they were able to go through and assess each of the communities and determine where the commission had decided to place money for repair and maintenance and so on and so forth, and found that those areas were not in as much need as were other areas. And so they were able to work with the town commission, and they're moving budgets from areas that don't really require priority immediately to areas where in the future they're going to have more flooding, so on and so forth. So in addition to that, the group that I'm working with, that we've already approved the $23,000, we just got another $75,000 grant from the EPA. We got a $72,000 grant this year to do the preparations for the study. We got the $75,000 next year to participate in the study. So that $23,000 that we
So
have.
why do we need to give them money?
We don't, well, if Gulfstream finally doesn't do it, or.
They're not doing it.
Well, I don't know if it's closed yet or not. I can guarantee you Manalapan is not.
Yeah.
I've been down that path with those folks before. But Gulfstream, I think Lantana is, Lake Worth is, Boynton for certainly, Delray. All those communities are involved in this effort. And I think for us not to do the $23,000, 12 of which we had approved last year, and we didn't spend. So we've got the $12,000 we didn't spend this year. So if you're really looking at it, we're looking at spending $12,000 in addition to what we had last year. So we're total of $23,000. I think it is very short-sighted of us not to go forward with this. And that's.
Well, as you know, I disagree.
I understand you disagree. And I understand also that you campaigned on an environmental issue, and this is certainly.
I would rather spend the money towards sewerage, which is affecting the environment as we see the red tide and the algae, and on the dunes. But do any other commissioners have a point they'd like to make about this?
How's our savings looking right about now?
What,
got-
how much have we saved?
It's either 199
That's what I
or
came up with.
222 with or without the
Okay.
23,000.
That's what I
I've
came
got
up with.
277.
270.
Oh, you have 277?
I-
No, I'm saying
close.
200,
Oh,
775.
okay.
Okay, no, I'm right about where you are, Phil.
I only have 151. Where are you getting that?
Well, you had told me originally 71, so I took that number.
That's what I used.
Remember that first 71 you said, Trace?
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And then I
You
added,
added, I'm talking just capital, okay.
oh, okay, I'm
Got it.
sorry, okay.
So if we have 12,000 that was dedicated to this last year, floating somewhere. So basically, you're looking at the study being out of this year's budget, 12-ish, correct? So that's kind of a mislead here, the
Well,
23,
yeah.
right?
We're
So,
ask-
did you hear that
We're
question,
putting 23
Tracy?
in
Nope.
this year.
The
12
is
of
it
which we
23
didn't
or is
spend
it 12
last year.
gonna be
Right, so we're
cost
looking
of
really at
2020?
pulling from this budget about
23.
half of this number here, correct?
Just one thing on the math that we're all doing.
Right,
We have $181,000 that we've saved from storm drain, Spanish River, body camera, police car, CIP, excuse me, I counted the police car twice, and 25 from contingency, so subtract 25. We've saved about 160,000, right?
No, you're missing
You're missing the
Carlisle and you're
salaries,
missing
right, the salary.
Right, I'm getting there.
And not the
And then that's
multipliers.
180, let's call it a total of 200, okay?
222, 570 savings, if you take the vulnerability study out.
Minus $180,000,
Right.
right.
That's what I'm looking for, is where our numbers are, because the numbers actually. if
Right
we're
now,
looking-
we've saved 60,
Right.
okay.
60's good. I'm just looking at trying, because I believe that the vulnerability study is a smart thing, but I'm looking at it from the way, the rest of us are all looking at other items,
Yeah.
right? What we have to spend and what
Well,
we don't.
we're running out of items.
But, yeah, no, I know we're at the
Yeah,
end,
pretty
but
much done.
Yeah.
is that something that's doable by the fact that we would only really need the 12 versus the 23?
No, Tracy
In
says
numbers,
we
right?
need the
You have to say
23.
the 23.
The calculations for the participants,
All right.
was, our share of that was 23.
I was trying to save that, look better. Because again, that's another big number, like, right there with the body cams, that's a big number.
Yep,
What do you say, Phil?
what's the pleasure?
Well, my issue goes back to Miami spending $400 million. Can't we wait to see what they come up with? Because I think it's gonna be similar issues.
Well, Miami,
It's also
The
underwater and
geographics
their
of
insurance
Miami
rates are crazy and you can't
harder
get
than
a
what they are
mortgage,
here.
so if you wanna wait that long, sure.
Well, I mean,
Yeah, but listen
but
to
the
what you
lady
said.
at Broward said we're one of the highest areas.
Yeah.
So that's good news, right? We have a little bit more time than the rest of everybody else.
but the program is set to go next year. This is what we've been working for almost 2 years, is to get to the point where we now put out an RFQ and RFP for the consultant firm to come in and look at the communities in a group. And so they would be looking.
But how
at-
can they do that? Manalapan has rejected it, Gulfstream's rejected it, Lantana, I was told specifically on Sunday, is not part of this. So I don't,
And I-
So that's 2 out of the what?
11.
Okay,
our
that's fine.
neighbors
That
on
are
either
neighbors,
side
right,
are
on
not.
either side, I get that. But then Delray's in, how about Highland?
I don't know if they're.
Highland is part of the program. There's still communities that haven't committed
Right.
to participate, and that, I can't get it, but then the $75,000 grant that we're coming in, if they don't participate, that $75,000 will offset their participation, which Gulfstream's was like 19 or something like that. It was less than ours, so 75,000. The
Part of
problem-
it is needs and part of it is timing, because the grants just don't sit out there infinitum. I mean, the grants have a time limit, and I think honestly, after having Commissioner Magruder sit in all these meetings and representing us with all good intentions for the last 3 years, for us to tell him, now that you finally getting somewhere and you're getting traction, we're not gonna do it, I think is disrespectful to him. And I think it's short-sighted on our behalf as a town. So
I don't
this
think
is,
you
this,
should
this is,
I don't
this
think
is,
you should tie spending $23,000 to disrespect the Donley Group.
I agree with that, but I think we do need to spend the $23,000 to be a participant in this group. And now, this is the year, 2020 is the year that it's going to take place. And if we don't do it this year, if we don't support the program, then they're not going to be part of the overall study for the other communities. And should Gulfstream not do it and then go down the path, and then we'd have some of these catastrophes that could be prevented, or we could build resilience into the community so that when we do get hit with them, it doesn't have the impact that it would have on a Gulfstream or a Manalapan. Their costs
That's
are going to be,
illogical.
it's not illogical. Their cost to try and catch up with recovering from a major disaster is going to be much more expensive than ours, having spent the money knowing going down the path, well, we really need to look at this area. We need to put in the sewage pipes. We don't know for sure if this is going to happen
We
or
can
not.
accomplish sewer. We can accomplish that.
That's only
And
one
that's gonna
part
be a
of it, Steve.
massive cost.
That's only one part of it.
All right, well, what's
I have one
everyone's
more
opinion?
question, can I? If less towns do this, correct, the study has to be less costly, correct? And will they still get the $140-some thousand grant, so that it would come down, that we'd be spending less than $23,000?
It could be. I can't say that because I don't know how many other communities. I missed the July meetings. We've got a meeting and, I missed the June meetings. So it depends on the RFP that's going out is based on doing the survey on 11 communities. So if it comes back and then we're only doing 7 or 8, then I would think the cost of that survey would be less, and then they would recalculate the cost to the town, and it could go down.
Okay,
But
but they
right
wouldn't take
now-
away the grant money or anything like that? The grant money
The
wouldn't go away?
grant money
would it?
that we've already received, we've been notified that we've got the additional we've got a $75,000 grant approved.
But that doesn't come to us. That's 20.
Well, that's the
It
cost
could-
to us,
Part of it,
right?
part of it could, in a reduction of the 23,000, but I can't,
You
there's
don't
no way I
know.
can tell you that that's gonna happen.
But the way these things work, the chances of that happening is doubtful, once they have the money. My other issue is that between the county, the state, and the feds, there's going to be much more massive studies taking place than our area.
The group that we're working with now is the Tri-County Group, which is, the group that we're with right now is kind of like a trendsetter. We have been leading the other communities, and including Miami, in getting together with these 11 communities to work as a unit to try and do this vulnerability study so that we can look at resilience in the future from either 5, 10, and 15 years out. I mean, I think for the $23,000, you compare that to some of the other things that we spent money on town. I mean, speed bumps, $6,000 a speed bump. You're $12,000 for 2 speed bumps, you know? So $23,000 to be able to look at what's going to happen with this community or forecast what's going to happen with this community 5 and 10 years out would be great help for the town engineer to be able to help us set priorities on a year to year to accomplish that.
As you know, the town engineer doesn't necessarily endorse this.
I
So,
don't know
to
that
my
that's
surprise.
particularly true.
It's not
Because I think it's a benefit to the town engineer.
So the $23,000, let's say once the $23,000 is paid, is there $23,000 next year?
The $23,000 wouldn't be paid until next year when everything is done.
And then what entails afterwards?
Well, then you go into 2021 and you begin to look at, well, what did the consulting firm say as far as what we need to do for resilience? And then that way we've got priorities on what we need to start spending money for. Then that would be us spending money. The advantage to having like a Gulfstream or a Manalapan participate is if it was a utility that needed to be enhanced or whatnot, you would probably get more, you would have a better break on prices if you had more participants.
So now you get back to my cost benefit, I just don't see it, Doc, I just don't. The town engineer has told us what to do, we have refused to do it for 10 years. Now we're starting to do it. But anyway, if we could, it's a consensus, what do people feel? $23,000, and we're still, how short on the budget? 400?
Well, in the big picture, we were looking pretty good on our cuts. My issue is, I think it's a very smart thing, is looking ahead and finding out from the study, just like the sewer study, giving us options, what you can do to go forward, what you can do within house to help yourself keep things alive, shall we say, on our fragile little island. This timing couldn't be worse, but you know what? I mean, we have no say on that. That comes and goes, so, God, it seems so ridiculous when we're trying to cut things down to pay for a study, but on the other hand, I totally am behind what the study, I mean, I've been following it in Miami for the last couple of years, and you see what a mess they are, and maybe had they put some of these actions into being a few years back, 10 years back, they might not have this underwater, property values lost, et cetera, et cetera.
But they did put in some.
Some,
And it's
yeah,
still
but you know, working with Miami, yeah, well, we can't stop, but we
Right.
can prepare, and we can find the better ways
So,
to
it's,
move
I,
forward. So I'm having
You're in a
trouble with this
great-
one.
Your thumbs up or thumbs down?
I know, right? You had to say that,
Yeah,
yeah.
are you thumbs up or thumbs down?
I'm gonna have to say thumbs up.
Thumbs up?
thumbs down? So it's 3-2, okay, Susan, you sure?
Yeah.
Positive? You're the swing vote.
I
You
know,
were gray
believe me,
area
that's
on
why
that.
I was blathering, I knew that. I was hoping that something was going to spring to air, but I think it's
Okay.
future smart.
All right, number 23, crosswalk, we don't have to worry about, the DOT has,
Made that
after
decision
recommending
for us.
it, rejected it.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, but there will be, we haven't heard the end of that.
No, we have not, starting tonight.
Really?
I'm just guessing.
Sewer conversion on hold, we don't have to worry about that until,
We
we
hear
don't
that.
have to worry about it, actually.
You're gonna hear
Tonight.
Yeah.
tonight about the financial consultant, and if you approve that, then costs will be built in here.
I think it's realistic for us to plug in some kind of number as long as we're doing our
Yeah.
best guesstimates right now. Because we've got 25 built in for Lisa, and then this Raftellus, or how do you pronounce it?
Raftalus,
So
Raftellus?
it's 192 an hour, but,
Well, we're gonna have to put a cap on that.
right.
we'll know
Right.
more tonight.
Yeah, but I mean, I think we should still, I mean, it's not gonna be 192, so, I mean, what are we, looking at the numbers that we
Well,
have, should we plug in 20? Should we plug in 30? Should we plug in 40?
Well, it's hard to, when you read this, they're talking about rate, the flow rate.
We don't know how many hours it will take them to do
Right,
it.
right, but we don't need that. Boynton tells us what that is, you know what I mean?
Oh, no, we have to pay Raftalus, that's what I'm saying. We have to pay the company.
Right, but half of their proposal is something we don't need.
No, we need the whole
Because we're gonna
thing.
get the exact same rate that Boynton gets. That's by Boynton's agreement with us, by Boynton's verbal agreement with us.
We're talking about water and sewer, though. If we're doing sewer conversion, you're gonna need the financial company to
Oh,
tell
no,
you.
we definitely need them,
Yeah.
but we don't need everything they're proposing that they're gonna do for us. What number do you wanna plug in?
Yeah, I'm clueless. Any round figure, you can't even come up, right? Because it's by the hour, and then it depends on what we're gonna need once they start looking.
Exactly.
Well,
Well, I
minimally,
imagine they're
we've
gonna
got
give us-
25.
They'll tell
for
us
Lisa.
tonight.
Yeah, they'll tell us the options we
Yeah,
have.
I mean, it's,
Yeah.
Police is the engineering aspect of it.
Yeah, but I mean, it's
So what-
still,
what-
it's still
what plug
part
in?
of this.
Whatever you want,
24.
which one?
I think we'd be remiss if we don't plug in 75.
75?
25 for Lisa and 50 for this consultancy.
No, Lisa's already done.
25, she's being paid this budget, so you don't have to worry about
This
that.
is just
Okay.
for this new company.
so you're thinking 50.
I'd say 25. I'm always low.
I mean, we'll have a better idea, but
Yeah.
as long as we're playing with numbers, we might as well plug something in.
So
30, how about that? Everybody happy with 30?
That's which one?
That'd be
25.
25.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. You're right, I'm
24.
wrong, yeah.
So that goes in the subtraction column, right?
Yep.
Yep. We said 30.
So we just went under, so we're now negative. So it's, our reserves just went up.
Reserves are not the only way to fund this.
Okay, we got
Okay.
salary investment personnel, right? Tracy, have we taken care of this, or do we have to go through the entire? Tracy,
What's your question?
number 25,
The salary survey.
it's already built into the budget, is it not?
Some of
No.
it is, some of it's not.
I think we missed the chief, the 2 lieutenants, and the dispatchers.
But they're in the budget.
For their regular 5% increase.
Right.
I mean,
so
we have
what-
to talk about those salary surveys and where everyone's at and how it will impact the budget.
So who from a personnel, and this might have been an easier way to look at, and you probably have done it, and I'm not looking at it. Who is under at this point? I mean, are we talking about
The-
five
no, we
five
missed
people on the staff,
lieutenants.
50 people? on the staff?
Dispatchers, so 6.
2 lieutenants.
Well, 5, because dispatch manager is within range right now. However,
But we should
as you
keep
know, they're going
dispatch
through
as a separate
contract.
category.
And then you have your chief, like
And
I said,
think he's right at the minimum next year,
he's at the
right? Or-
minimum, yeah, and he has more experience than, being at the minimum. And then,
2 lieutenants, right?
yep.
I'm sorry, did you delineate what we're saying now?
See, it's,
Where am I looking?
Yeah, it was in
Sandwich.
the write-up. Remember when I had mentioned about the dispatchers and you said you were gonna talk about it later?
Okay,
So, let's see
Where are we
where
coming
that
from with
was.
it's,
Way back where?
way back where?
It's on the personnel, it's 2 sheets in.
Yeah, the salary survey.
Okay. Yeah.
In the red, down at the bottom
Oh,
in the
yeah.
red, it tells you the positions that haven't been talked
Okay.
about yet.
Thank you.
I'm sorry,
Tracy, help us out here.
Yeah.
right here.
It's personnel.
Yeah, you see the personnel?
Yeah, it's
No, not there.
This one,
Here. See personnel, this little tab?
Yeah.
So that's
Let's
our
do that.
overlay.
So page
Where's our
2.
details?
Yeah, right there. Next page. Yep,
There you go.
right here it talks about it.
Steve, did you find it?
Yeah, I found it a long time ago, but I'm looking for the actual map.
There is none yet. It's gonna be based on your decisions and whether you adopt the salary
Right.
ranges.
So we should leave the dispatches out of this for now.
Where do we stand with that?
We should leave the dispatches out of it for now. So I'm lost by this note, Tracy. It says lieutenant, comma, chief of police will fall within the range in FY '20, but on the low end.
Correct.
So is that the 2 people we're talking about?
Actually, the lieutenants aren't a part of that sentence. The lieutenants are low based on the salary surveys, and then the chief, he's gonna fall within the salary surveys, but on the low end because he has more experience than a new chief coming in.
Yeah. Agreed. Okay, any thoughts? So we're only talking about the police chief salary. That's what this all boils down to.
Well, and 2
And
lieutenants.
2 lieutenants.
lieutenants.
And
I thought you
lieutenants.
just said that they are okay.
No, the
No, they're
lieutenants
at
are
the lower
bad.
range.
They're low.
They're on the
They're
low
low.
range.
So now going back to,
Just salary survey?
So what is the recommendation?
Calculations, yeah, where's the?
Well, if you look, well, she didn't make a recommendation, but here's like the minimum. See this chart? That's where they fall in.
So we have the salary ranges that are.
So are you asking for consensus to agree to this proposed salary ranges F fiscal year 19 and just leave it at that?
No, she's asking for us to come up with a number for their paycheck next year, right?
They would fall within the low range of, so it looks like Lieutenant Jones he falls within the salary ranges already, and Scott does not, but Jones has more experience than McClure does.
Right.
McClure is a brand-new lieutenant. He does not fall within the range right now.
So give us some hard numbers, Tracy.
Okay, you have,
So this request is adopting proposed salary ranges for each position, which is on this sheet, correct?
Yeah, but
So we're talking about,
But we've
Right,
already,
we just need hard,
it'd be about 4,500 in salary for McClure, plus benefits.
Okay. And that came close to me. I said 5, so
Yeah.
4,500.
5 doesn't include benefits, so 5
Right, I was just doing the salary. Yeah.
And then if you wanted to give Jones the same amount, it would be another 4,500.
Right, that was what I was gonna say also, because, you know, if you set the ranges already, then you wanna move them up together.
Right, it's a compression.
The concern with just adjusting one over the other is compression rates.
It's compression, that's why I
The
just said
commission-
compression.
Had very, very difficult time getting through the last time we didn't do compression. So it's best to do it now.
I mean, if you wanted to talk about your dispatchers,
So-
as of the salary ranges, it would probably be about a $50,000 impact.
Right, but I thought I explained this to you, Tracy. Brian would prefer that we
Yeah.
hold up that conversation.
Yes, correct. But if you're just talking numbers and you're
Yeah.
talking
Just
about
knowing
salary
it's- yeah.
surveys or
Yeah.
whatever, it's about a 50,000.
well, we need to plug in a number, but I don't feel like this is very fleshed out yet in my mind.
I can give you more information at the next meeting with numbers,
You
solid
like-
numbers.
You
But
wanna
we
just
need
put
to
a plug?
a plug. So we know it's 45 plus, right?
Well, no, you've got 9, you're already up to 9, you haven't included
That's
the
not-
chief.
Yeah, I know, but it's 45.
for the lieutenant.
Oh.
Let's say another
Right.
1,000.
For benefits?
Want to say 6 plus 6 is 12?
What
15.
what is, if, what's 40, she's got the calculator, what is 45, what is the 45 with benefits?
Did you come up with 45? Did somebody come up with that?
Tracy?
Tracy,
Yeah,
Okay. So,
but now we have to plug in the benefits.
didn't calculate right, it's only coming out to 9,000, and that's just adding that, so I don't know what
If we
happened.
just guesstimated, so we can, because you're gonna have to harden up these numbers afterwards anyway.
If you took the,
Is it
If you-
18%, right?
it's more than 18% retirement,
Yeah, okay.
24, so if you took about 40%
40?
and added to it, you'd probably.
That's what I'm
be
doing
somewhat
now,
close.
So 9 plus 6,
36,
basically.
9,
That's a very, very rough estimate, but that's,
I mean, for a plug, that's what we're looking
That,
for.
right.
Now you're looking about 13,000.
Plus the 45, so you're at 58?
No, 13,000 total for the 2 lieutenants.
Oh, you're just doing lieutenants?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so the chief is currently in the budget at 109,296, which is basically a 5% over last year, it appears, actually less than 5%. What's the commission's feel? He's at the low range. The range is,
I think it was 105, wasn't it?
yeah, low's 105.
He's at 104,715 right now. The low is 105.
So he's low.
Gulfstream's paying 120, Jupiter's paying 101, Palm Beach 103,
police department?
yeah.
Jupiter
Did I
Police
s-
Department?
Oh,
That's
excuse me,
their
I'm
low
wrong, I'm wrong. It's
Yeah.
101 min, 152 max,
There you go.
yeah.
Go back to home.
How come we don't have an Alabama?
They didn't respond to information requests.
What's the commissioner's pleasure?
I would say 10. That would get them up to like 119, 120.
Which puts them in line with the other barrier islands,
Mhm.
really.
Are people comfortable with that? Christine?
I'd go a little bit higher.
You're just really trying to get us way over.
It's working. It's throw a number.
I go with the 10.
You don't want those speeding tickets anymore, huh?
What's your?
I haven't ever written her a speeding ticket on it. As a matter of fact, none of you.
Do you have a suggestion?
I didn't. Do you have a suggestion?
No, I was looking at you.
Yeah, I know you were.
Okay, so
We're looking
this,
at, wait a minute. We're talking 10 up, so that makes it, what did we come up with, was 119, did you
Yes.
say?
Well, 120, I said. He's like 109 something, so you give him, whatever the rounding is, to 120. That was my recommendation.
I'll second that.
consensus?
125.
Consensus at 120? We have 3,
We're at 120?
yes. This is a large raise for the chief. 'cause
Right,
he's
right, right. No,
bumping
I know,
one.
no. I'm putting this in perspective. We had a second on
120.
on 120. You say
125.
125. I'll second 125.
And I'll second 120.
Okay,
Well,
so
you'll
now
trigger
we
it.
are in for
Third.
fun. Can we split down the middle, people?
Okay, so now we have to increase the budget by $11,000, right?
Well, and plus the
Plus
fringe
benefits.
benefits, yeah.
Yeah.
40%.
11 plus 4, roughly 15. Let's call it 16.
Okay.
So we're going from 130.
Monkey in the room that we're not talking about might be that additional.
Which I kind of lost track, I mean, I'm down.
So high.
Yeah, so it was like 13 for the lieutenants, so 162. What did we come up with, these guys?
You
It
have
was,
more up-to-date information than I do.
no, 10 plus, how much was the crunch?
Yeah.
Good.
No, how much was it, do you
It's
remember?
like
For Tracy.
No.
Okay, so I think we just finished. Do we want to do the math now?
Yeah, I think so, because, that's what we were kind of talking about. We lost track of this thing.
Yeah, we did the
Scribbling.
now.
So Tracy, did you keep track of everything, or did Phil do a better job perhaps, because he didn't have to?
I
'Cause
kept
he didn't
track
have
of
to
everything
calculate.
until you started doing personnel.
That's right.
Okay,
Because I was
so,
doing calculations while you were doing that.
all right, so we were at 199, coming out.
How much did we need to put in capital for the personnel, Phil? Did you get that
Yeah,
number?
well, I'm gonna go from there then, so, because I'll give it to you in order, all right? The lieutenants was gonna cost us 13,000.
With benefits.
Right, and you
Yep.
gave me that number.
Okay.
The other one, I think, we say we can't talk the D word?
Yep.
Correct.
Okay, so forget that one, I had that in my math. The next one would be Hal at 10,000, but I didn't do the
Plus.
fringe benefits.
Right,
16.
so it would be 14,000 then,
Okay, 14,000.
roughly.
All right, so 14.
So it'd be 27,000.
148,
No, you got 13 twice.
72.
No.
13 plus 14.
Oh, 13, there's two of them?
Mm-hmm, that's fine.
So I think we took away from the budget 172 of expenses, but then don't forget, we took the 180 out. So
Right.
basically, we should be within $8,000 of your of what we
Hang on.
started.
What did you take out?
Yeah,
Well, in total, when we went to get rid of all the expenses, and then also that little
But
revenue thing.
Maybe we should go line item by line item, because I think we've all kept different
Right.
lists, and it would just.
different
Okay.
methods.
All right. All right.
So let's talk
So-
about the money we're putting back in.
Right, so.
Right, that's the one we started.
I did that chronologically.
Me too.
All right, so Republic was plus
20.
plus 20, right?
Wait a minute, okay, so we're gonna, Republic? is-
Trash, 20.
Right, and then town manager was
22,500.
Town clerk was 22,750. That comes to,
Just keep going.
You should come up with 71,000, that's what,
Yeah.
That's what I had back then.
right. That's what
71,
Tracy
yeah.
did when she
Okay.
put in a computer with all the fringe benefits
right,
and
right.
all.
all right, I'll just read them off and you guys do the math then.
Okay, hold on.
Plus.
So the 22,500 and the 22,750 plus the trash, you came up with what in total?
Well, but then you have to add the fringe benefits, so
Yeah.
why don't, if you have your number, do you have your number or you don't have
No,
that?
because I don't have.
I have a net if you're ready.
71,570 was what we came up with.
Right, that was the 71,000.
Okay,
So
now-
those three
Those-
items
those
plus
three
fringe
items.
benefits was 71,000.
Right.
Now.
You saved
storm-
130,000,
No,
267
we're going.
They
we're
wanna
going
know
one
line by
one.
line.
Storm
Okay.
drains.
25.
Twenty.
We saved
25.
25. Spanish River, we saved 25.
Right.
Body cameras, we saved 20. Was that inaccurate or is it?
Yes, no, you're right so far.
Police car, we saved 48.
Right.
We had 10 before that. Number 15 was 10.
I don't have a
Well,
number.
that was withdrawn.
Yeah, that was withdrawn, we didn't see. Yeah.
It was already out of the budget.
It's already out of
When
the
it says
budget.
request withdrawn, you removed it from the budget, correct, Tracy? Yeah.
Okay.
CIP plus, we saved 10,000. So what's that new number?
Well, 10,000, because it was 20.
Yeah, so you got 25,
And
25, 20, 48, and 20. Or 10, or
I've
something.
got 71,698.
For
That's gotta be
the
how it-
second batch?
Yeah,
71,000 what?
698.
And I had 71,570 for the first batch.
No, you should have a lot more than that,
Yeah.
Christine, because you have 25, 25 is 50, 20 is 50, 70,
48,
and then 48,
So I
right?
didn't-
and then 10.
Yep, then 10,
I'm sorry, 128
128.
128 for the second batch.
for
One
the
I just
second
had.
batch.
Yeah, that's the 199 I
Plus
started with.
71,570, right?
Yep,
So now we're at about 2.
yep.
Jesus Christ.
You must be forgetting zeros. $199,570. So a few extra seashells that would be.
Okay, so that's,
I know.
that's the.
You're good.
That's the good news,
I don't
right?
ever do this in my head anymore.
That's the good news.
So let's look, 180 plus 30, and that may be higher, that's our
Right.
consultant, plus 13 plus 16,
Right.
239.
So we've managed to lose money.
Your net impact is 130,267 in savings, and you're taking from reserves now 330,578.
No, did you pull out the 180?
180?
Yeah, remember we were pulling out
Briney?
the police
pulling out
contract
Oh,
at Briney Breeze?
no.
Yeah, that's the difference.
That's the difference.
Yeah, so we've actually managed to add
Yep.
ostensibly 40,000,
Yeah.
39,000.
Good job,
more.
Christine.
Oh, it's all me, yeah, all me. Yeah, all me.
That's it, 39?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's not good.
Yes.
No, it's 39 on top of
I know,
460.
I know.
Is that correct?
But
On top of
life's
315.
expensive. But our good thing is, we
Yep.
we came in very nicely on our request at Briney. So that would make things smile a little better, right, if we did
Yeah,
get
I
the
mean, I don't
Briney?
think we're gonna lose the Brine.
That's what I'm thinking too,
We're
we don't
being
wanna
very,
say
very
for
You
sure,
guys
but
didn't wanna put it in.
they're gonna wanna save their money, we're right there, there's a million things in our favor, so.
So if we.
If we don't get the Briney contract, you're taking 510,578 out of reserves.
Right.
And we're also
approximately.
taking,
Okay,
house
again-
raise away,
Again,
too.
reserves is one funding
Or
mechanism.
raising taxes.
Yes, I mean, we need to
Right.
start changing our vocabulary, I think, a little bit.
Right, but that's what the reserves,
So
reserve.
59.
And you said we were gonna put off the, are we gonna talk about the body cameras again today? Wanna wait
No,
till the next?
the August meeting, is that when we're, that one and,
Yeah, 'cause I think
something
I
August
think
else?
the
4th
Briney contract's like gonna make a
Yeah,
big
August
difference.
4th is your last budget meeting
Right.
before you have to really set your budget to present to the public for
Right.
your September meeting. If you can't figure it out by August 4th, you need another August budget workshop. You need to add one.
So is that when we set millage?
You set millage July 15th.
Oh, geez.
Your maximum. You don't set your millage, you set your maximum. And then you can't come down.
And we
No,
will-
you
I mean, you
Can't
come,
go
but
up.
you
Yeah,
can't go
can't
up,
go up.
sorry. Can't go up from that.
Don't tell
You
Christine.
you definitely can come down.
And then with any luck, Briney will give us an answer, I heard them. They know they can't give us the 90 days because of their,
I would expect them to give us as much notice as they possibly can.
I think so too, I think they want to. That seems to be what they want to do, so I think it'll probably be pretty quickly after y'all have your,
Unfortunately, it's 5 people dealing with the decision,
I know,
so I don't want to guess at this point. in
you
time.
can't.
Yes. Yes.
I know you all are struggling with the money, and obviously, taking money out of reserves or raising our taxes are alternatives, but whatever you guys decide to do, I just want to congratulate you. I think this has been an excellent meeting, and I really, really, really want to congratulate Tracy. This is the smoothest budget I have seen in probably 10 years.
Thank you.
And I think you've done a phenomenal job. And I think just even seeing the Q&As with the answers as a resident, it's just been phenomenal. And I'm just thrilled with your work, and I'm so excited for you to be our long-term town manager.
Thank you.
So thank
Now,
you
if
all
you'll
very
only write
much.
us a check, you'll make our day.
She does
Thank
every
you,
year.
Sylvia.
Yeah, she does, right?
Okay, so, we've added 39,000, let's call it 40, right? You have to go back and check our math.
Yes, absolutely.
And currently, what was the final number? Is it 460 plus?
Your final
39?
reserve number,
Yeah.
or, 510,578,
Right.
approximately.
Given that our math is correct.
Yeah.
Right.
And we'll find out tonight about the 30, whether the 30 is
Exactly.
solid or.
So,
Oh, the sewer.
just, and I'm not a fan of hidden reserves heavy, but if you remember the math, right? If you take 510,578 and divide it by 40, what did Rich Lucibel say, 48.8?
Right around there, right?
800. That's 10%. So, and our reserves are at 67. We thought they were at 60, they're at 67, so we'd be taking them down to 57. Now, hopefully, we wouldn't even have to do that because the Briney contract would come in. And then we
Right.
could leave the millage at the same rate. We could keep our reserve at 60, which is incredibly healthy, as you heard the gentleman say, we're the healthiest community he's been in.
And don't forget, that's not set in stone either. You say that you're gonna spend 510 out of your reserves, but things happen throughout the year.
Correct.
Your personnel changes, things like that, and money goes back in,
And
so.
on average, each year, roughly 175 to 225 goes back into the reserve.
Not
Yeah.
this year. We've
We're
become
getting
really
closer.
skinny. We've gotten really
Well,
skinny
you
on
know
that.
what?
Yeah, we're getting closer.
Because when Jim Bonfiglio jacked it from 97 to 98.5%, remember? He called it
Yeah.
a little move. Because we used to have that 1.5% property tax.
Yeah.
It was a clever move. So we're talking a 57% reserve, worst case scenario. Right?
Right.
And the reason for this is that we haven't spent roughly $500,000 on drainage and fire hydrants.
Yeah.
So my only caveat to that is, I don't think this type of deficit is gonna be a 1 year off. If we
You're
look
right.
at a 5-year CIP plan, we're probably gonna have something close to this for at least the next 3 to 5 years. And my concern is by using the only funding mechanism as taking from reserves, it's not sustainable. Because within 5 years, our reserves will be gone. So I think we have to find a balance. I know that you had looked into special assessments and some other things like that, but I think we should, we should not just say, we're taking it from one area, because I just don't think it's sustainable to do that.
I agree it's not sustainable. I think, in my opinion, you're underestimating the incredible cost that we're incurring this year on drainage and fire hydrants.
Well, we
It's
got
totally
septic
unexpected.
right behind it. I mean, septic's
Yeah, but
gonna
the
be
septic,
huge.
the septic is gonna be tens of millions of dollars. And that's not something that we can put into.
You just made my point. Thank you.
But that's gonna be a totally different conversation. It's gonna be
That's gonna be
funding,
over a
state.
number of years.
Right. Still, it all just gets more expensive every year, so we need to be aware.
I don't see any charge for waiting for using our feet over there for benches. I think we can make up the deficit by taxing.
Okay. I like
Okay.
that idea.
Do we need to do anything else, Tracy?
Not today.
Okay.
Not
All
this
right,
afternoon.
Meeting, any public comments? Meeting, yes?
You just got it.
All right, meeting adjourned. Thank you all. Thank you, Zoe, for your kind words.
Let's ask. Nice bag there. Truly your color.
Do you want to order, or do you want to go home?
I'm going home.
I'm gonna,